Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of the Lantern Podcast here, talking about everything Club Leon in English. Here to talk about everything that happened this past jornada. Crazy, madness, insane, tricky. I don't even know what to call it. It was definitely interesting to watch that game. Louis had just the live view, but I know me and Carlos were probably just on the other side of the screen, like, what is going on? Mad. So we're here to talk about everything that happened in that game, current Leon, where they're sitting on the table and looking ahead of next rival. So, gentlemen, Carlos and Louis, how are we feeling after this Leon game? As the title of this podcast called, Nos fuimos con un punto de gloria with the draw.
Yeah, this is one of those weird situations where I can honestly say that was one of my favorite games I ever went to. And before I ever got into this sport, I would have never understood, and I still wouldn't be able to explain to somebody now who doesn't really watch it, doesn't really understand it, how a 0-0 match could ever be exciting, how it could ever be exciting, let alone, in my top 5 of games ever attended. But it really was. That was something special about that. And, this is why I like to go to games live, because the energy in the building was just something that can't be replicated. Just the longer it went 0-0, you could just feel the frustration building with the Toluca fans that why have we not taken the lead in this match? What is going on? And then there was the frustration, and the frustration would turn even further into disbelief when Leon arguably had the better of the chances to take the lead late in that match, up until the final flurry where Cota was figura. But before that, there were a couple of chances where it looked like the team that was closer to taking the lead in that match was Leon, even playing down 2 men. And just the energy in the building with those circumstances. Not just that, but, Toluca was one of the best teams in the league last season, and they still have, they've arguably improved. This feels like this should be their season, and they just had no answers for a 9-man Leon, and you could just feel the tension. You could feel the frustration building, and ultimately just the disappointment, but also kind of the relief that they didn't lose, because it was a little bit dicey for them in those waning seconds there. So yeah, there was something incredible about that match. It would be the only non-win I would put in my top 5 or top 10 list of matches attended. But there was just something special about it. Happy to have been there. But more importantly than that, just positive effort from our team. Our team that's still trying to find itself, clearly not where it wants to be, not at the level it wants to be, and will hopefully be by the end of the season. But hopefully that effort can translate into more positive matches, positive results going forward. Maybe it can be a catalyst going forward as we try to find our way under this new regime. But hopefully, it felt like a step in the right direction. So hopefully it turns out being that.
Definitely. I don't even know what to say. That was like the entire summary right there. Other than, I think this team just came together. I feel like we kind of just all clicked, and we had to. We were down 2 men, and defensively we had to get it together. It was obvious we were not going to play for a win after being down 2 men, but somehow we almost scored. We almost scored. We almost stole 3 points. And if it weren't for La Pata Chueca de, who was it, Ivan Moreno, who, it was a sitter.
In his defense, I don't think he's found himself in those positions too frequently in his career.
We'd be talking about a completely different ball game here if we would have stolen those 3 points. That would have been maybe the luckiest match I've ever seen as a Leon fan. But this point, yeah, like the title says, un punto de gloria. It was a heart stopping match, gut wrenching. It had me on the edge of my seat. I couldn't even tweet. I was just like, oh my God, what do we? It was crazy. And kudos to Cota for all the saves. If it wasn't for Cota, we'd be probably down 2 or 3 goals. So hell of a match, and I hope we don't have to live through that again.
It was I was literally just screaming like back to back to back, like no, especially towards the end of the game. And obviously the 8 minutes added, I was like, oh my God, like no, no, this can't happen. Like so close. I mean, kudos and shout outs to the remaining players on the field. I mean, they really encararon, le pusieron el pecho a las balas. Like it was just everybody hustled, everybody played a part. And if it wasn't for them, this easily could have crumbled. Especially like I messaged y'all and I told Tom, I was like, oh my God, this feels like we're gonna get another player sent off, and boom, we got another player sent off. At that point, I was like, oh my God, we're gonna crumble down, because even con uno de menos, we still looked good. Like we still were like, okay, we can still put up a fight. But ya con ocho, I was like, ooh, especially con los cambios que hizo Nacho Ambriz, bringing in Leo and all this. I was like, oh no, this is gonna crumble down,
Yeah.
but it didn't. Um,
Classic
I
Nacho
was
Ambriz
stunned.
team, though. Classic of Nacho Ambriz. Like, think about the number of times that we went through that as Leon fans under Nacho Ambriz, where we had the upper hand pretty much the entire game, and we couldn't find a way to get 3 points.
And you said that in the chat, Carlos. You're like, well, I hope Nacho Ambriz still hasn't learned how to play with a man advantage. And they looked helpless. They had they had no idea por donde. They just didn't have any idea how to take advantage of that. And it was surreal to watch, like especially with the offensive talent they have on that squad. I mean, just look at that squad. They're loaded. They're stacked. They should have found at least one hole, and they didn't. They just didn't. It was bizarre.
Yeah.
It might not be the luckiest match of all time because we didn't get the full 3 points there at the end, but it's still up there pretty lucky. I was like, if we get out of here with any kind of result, that will be as hilarious as it is miraculous.
Mhm.
And that's kind of what it ended up being. Hilarious, especially like there's no way we should have come out of there with anything, let alone a point against a really good squad away, playing two men down. I mean, if that doesn't send good vibes shooting through the entire organization, I don't know what will.
Definitely. Shout out to Arturo joining us in the chat once again. Saludos. 3 games in, and this Larcamon guy hasn't convinced me yet. Still reminds me of previous Leon teams that play with no style.
It's a fair assessment. I think if we'd gotten a little something more out of that Pumas match, we'd be tooting a different horn. That was just such a disastrous match, and it was his second test. And obviously, finishing a game 2 men down isn't going to convince anybody that the coach has instilled discipline in the locker room. And I can understand that. I mean, this is a whole different ball game for Larcamon than anything he's been used to before. So, it's been 3 matches. I think we need to give him at least 9 or 10 before we really, really can judge what kind of job he's doing. And it could very well be that by that point we're, firmly in the upper places. We'll see. I mean, we got a lot of injuries and a lot of uncertainty to deal with in the squad right now. It's going to be, we'll get into that later, I'm sure. But I just a guy like Larcamon, he has enough cred in the league that he deserves more benefit of the doubt, more so than either of his 2 predecessors, I would say. He deserves more benefit of the doubt because he's proven in the league. Maybe not in terms of actually winning titles, but he's proven in the league that he can get good results. So yeah, jury's still out on Larcamon for sure.
Jury's still out.
Yeah, I have to agree with Arturo. We really don't look like a team that has a playing style yet. Over the past few years, we've had to rely on Chapo Montes to be the creator, right? The magician, the generator, the engine of this team. And now we don't have anyone. I mean, now we have to rely on Jairo Moreno, who hasn't been showing up. I mean, that Sunday match, I don't remember any good moves or any good 1v1s that he had or any good crosses he put. And he's one of the best play creators that we have. I mean, in the past, we used to put Meneses in there. We used to put Colombato in there to be the creators, and obviously we had to rely on Chapo Montes. But now we don't have that player, so somebody's going to have to step it up. And the lack of not being able to create, I think, is what causes so much. Uh, how do you call it? Que se desesperen los jugadores. Like
Mhm.
Yorio, for example. This guy was a leading goal scorer last season. He hasn't scored once this season, so you can understand his
He
frustration.
has scored once.
He scored once, but he wants to score more, and he wants to score more, but he has nobody to feed him the ball. Like there's no balls coming to him. And in the past, it was Luis Montes, it was our wingers, it was Meneses. Like these were the guys that were feeding him the ball. He used to get balls, and now he's not getting anything. So it's very frustrating for him, I'm sure, and I'm pretty sure that red card that he received was out of frustration. It wasn't, you know,
It was so
anything.
unnecessary. It was so unnecessary.
It was so unnecessary. But I was thinking about that meme where there's the woman who's frowning, and then there's she's opaque on the other side, and she's actually smiling. You know which one I'm talking about?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's the meme where you're on the surface you're sad, but secretly you're happy.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. That's
That
kind of
one.
how it was when he absolutely clocked Navarro. Because I can't swear on the podcast, so I'm not going to say what I really think. But Navarro's not my favorite person. I'll just put it that way.
Oh no.
I mean, he wasn't really like super liked among Leon fans before he left.
Yeah.
He had a
Once
reputation
some
of being.
once somebody's left, he got a kind of a prima donna reputation, which that's kind of unfortunately how I'm going to remember him now. Unfortunately, but yeah. Well, I think the problem is we're just not getting a lot of production from those who are supposed to be our heavy hitters.
Yeah.
Like the guys we're supposed to be leaning on. Really, like the guys I was most impressed with were the back end of the bench guys that finished, like the unsung, unheralded back end of the roster. Like guys like Brian Rubio, I thought he had great minutes. Platano Alvarado played pretty well. Oscar Villa obviously
Oscar
probably
Villa.
had, aside from Ivan Moreno's chance, probably had the best chance of the match to get the. And again, these are just him and Ivan Moreno. They're just dudes who are not used to being in those positions. So I can't really blame them for not capitalizing. Yairo obviously had a good chance, but we know that if he's given too much space, he's going to put it over the bar. That's just we've just kind of come to expect that from him. But our heavy
Davila
hitters
had
are
a
just
chance
not.
right before the end of the first half.
Yeah.
Davila had a great chance, but he couldn't. I mean, he just couldn't bring it down. Diorio didn't do much before he got sent off. Diorio, Davila, who else? Just the guys who've been with the squad a while. The guys we're counting on to produce are not producing. The guys I was most impressed with were the back end of the bench guys, and I think that's kind of fitting with Larcamon. He makes kind of the understated, unheralded guys shine out. And I think that, the back end of the bench guys were anxious to play for him and anxious to show what they could do. And I was most impressed with them, which is fine. It was good for this one match. But if we're looking to contend this season, we need our heavy hitters. We need the Menas and we need the Davilas and we need the Diorios to start producing more regularly. There's just no way around it.
Mhm.
Definitely. And I think if anything, it showcased that these guys will go in and give it their all. They can easily be replaceable. Man, I can easily be replaceable. If Yorio is not having a good game, take him out, throw in Rubio in. At this point, I feel like that I think apart from obviously producing a great game that remains scoreless, I think these players did show that they're capable of replacing someone if like you said, if they don't show up, like the Mena didn't show up, the Yorio with the stupid unnecessary foul. But yeah.
Yeah. Now, of course, a lot was made of Barreiro's game, making the best 11.
He did have a good game.
He had a good game. He's good for one every couple seasons, I'd say. So hopefully,
he
the
can
guy
be
gives it his all.
inconsistent.
He's a supreme athlete. He's fast. He's strong. Just technically, he's very limited. But I think he was interviewed quite substantially this week, and he talked about how much he loves Club Leon and that how he
Yep.
hears all the criticism, and he he uses it to try to better himself. He's still fairly young player, especially for center back. Maybe there's some improvements he can make. Maybe Larcamon will really inspire him to have a more consistently good season than we're used to from him, because it looks like he's going to be playing for a while. I mean, even if Adonis Frias is ready against Pachuca, we're kind of short on the center back front. So I mean, I think Barreiro is going to be in there most of the season.
Yeah, it's his turn to lead this team in the defensive area, because obviously Belon got 2 games, which I don't understand. It's a red card. Wait, how did he? I don't understand how he got 2 games.
It's a red card. They didn't even see it at first glance. They had to go to VAR to confirm it. And as we were saying on the chat, off air, if anything, Diorio's was the more vicious of the 2.
Oh yeah,
and he only got 1.
Yeah,
so
it's pretty annoying because everything's just measured in diferentes barras, game by game, and ref by ref, and team by team, and I think it's ridiculous. No, I agree with Louis. I think Barreiro has opportunity to lead. I mean, we've been harsh critics of him because he can be inconsistent. There's games where, a veces pierde la cabeza. He commits like the most stupidest foul. We're like, better. Like, why did you do that? But then other times, I mean, he carries well out. And I think with this game and throwing in all the other players in, I mean, he was one. If anybody, he was one of that, besides Cota, that was supposed to lead. And finish the game off on the right note. So Arturo had said, not gonna lie, we all jumped on Barreiro's bandwagon. Hey, credit to where credit is given, right? He had a good game. Besides Cota, who on SofaScore, Louis, had a 9.0.
I mean, I would hope so. I mean, the guy saved us from like 3 for sure goals.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, occasionally that score and the eye test are going to match up. This was one of those times.
So we're going to go ahead and share the lineup provided by Club Leonian, aka Carlos. This was the starting lineup, guys. I mean, no surprise. I mean, obviously, we had given our 2 cents about Osby and Jefecito, but if anything, we were glad that El Perro had the start.
And he had a wonderful game. I mean, take nothing away from him. He had a good game. It's just that he wasn't ready for 90 minutes. He started to cramp up, and he had to leave, which was, at first we all thought it was an injury, and we were kind of hoping that it wasn't, keeping our fingers crossed. But I think Louis confirmed as soon as he saw that he was walking on his own, it was good.
I was sitting right behind the Leon bench. So they did take him off on the Carrito de las Desgracias, but I mean he was up and walking on the sideline, not without much of a limp, if any. So I mean, I'm expecting him to be available for Saturday. I would assume so.
I would hope he starts.
Yeah,
I would hope he starts. And
because we're gonna have to. I mean, we need all the healthy bodies we can get. Because no matter what, we're gonna have to get a little creative on that back line.
Yeah, so obviously Belon's out 2 games. The CEO hasn't been club confirmed, correct? Because there's other periodistas out there saying, according to the type of injury he has, he could be out 6 to 8 weeks, 2 months, but nothing official from Club Leon as usual.
Yeah, nothing official, but it's gonna be a while.
We certainly cannot count on him for this next game, so we're gonna have to
game by game
get a little creative. Yeah.
Adonis is back, right? Training.
Yeah, but I doubt he's going to be available for 90 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, you expect center backs aren't usually positions that get subbed off unless it's for injury. So, but if you're recovering from an injury, I mean, I'd expect him to come on as a sub late. We'll see though.
So we're doing what? Barreiro and Fidel Ambris?
Fidel Ambris, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, can we switch Osby for Villa? Because that was all my whole thing whenever it was in the past. Obviously, because this DCO is not available, but
I mean,
I'd love to.
Ivan Moreno played better than Yael Uribe in that first game, and he instantly got the starting job over him the next game.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I would say Oscar Villa played significantly better than Ospi has in a long time, but we'll see if the hierarchy is such where he would do the same thing and give him the spot in the next game. I just don't.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
see it. I don't see
I
it.
don't.
because
I
we
don't
have
either.
Pachuca. We
Oh
have
yeah.
Pachuca. You
If
don't want to
anything,
throw
I
him
feel like
out
we're gonna
there
get
against Pachuca.
killed. We're gonna get scored on by trophies. That's gonna be the
I mean,
issue
Pachuca's a
next
really
game.
good. They're a really good team. I mean, they won the
They
championship,
do.
and they started off this season like they won a second one. They're really good.
They have a good squad.
Yeah, we'll see though. I don't know. I don't think it's. I think it's going to be a tougher spot match than we expect.
Yeah, we'll see.
What else? What else? Just looking through, reliving moments. Obviously Ivan Moreno missing that. I think it landed on his wrong foot. No, wasn't one
Who did?
Ivan Moreno, where he had that sitter at the end.
Oh yeah.
I don't remember. I just remember seeing it go over the crossbar.
So unlucky.
Mm-hmm.
But both then and the I'm telling you guys, then and the Oscar Villa chance, the people sitting around me, you could feel the horror emanating from their bodies in that moment. In those two moments, like there's no way this could possibly happen, and it didn't. but it. I mean, how when you're playing with 9 dudes, how do you get that open? It's incredible. It was incredible. Even those chances even came about. Honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I just think Oscar Villa just had fresh legs. I mean, he had come on a couple minutes before, so he had fresh legs. And yeah, we caught TOLUCA off guard. I mean, they had almost everyone on our side of the pitch. And I mean, Ivan Moreno is one of the fastest guys we have. So those two guys, as soon as they take off and you have one TOLUCA player back, you know, it's gonna be a pretty effective counterattack.
Definitely.
Yeah.
We didn't throw Canelo in. I was kind of surprised. Canelo Angulo.
I don't know what's up with that. He's supposed to be our fichaje bomba, and he
was coming off an injury, right? And he got like trash
injury,
minutes.
Yeah, I'd like to think that he's not 90 minutes fit, and that maybe the intensity of this match, they didn't want to throw him into that fire. I don't know. It just might not have been his moment. But I mean, I am counting on him to be make a major impact this season. And
yeah, I've been waiting for him to get some minutes. He got some minutes.
I know he's
Pumas.
anxious for them.
Yeah, I remember him coming on against Pumas, and I thought he didn't look too bad. I mean, although he only got like 5, I think it was like 5 minutes, garbage minutes.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm very anxious to see him because I know he's a good play creator, and that's what we're missing. So if you can throw him in there in the middle, and maybe he can, you know, give a few through passes that could lead to some goals, that would be awesome.
And we were all waiting for Mosquera to try and give us a goal, huh?
I was like, yeah, that's probably our best chance. That's probably our best chance to score.
Close. Yeah, I'm looking through our chat because we're just like off the chains. I'm like, Board Belon.
It was an off the chain kind of afternoon.
It was indeed. So I did predict 2-2 draw. I know we drew, so I technically got it right. The draw part.
You got the draw part right for sure.
See, I anticipated like a good game where we both ended a draw, and it was a good game. We ended the draw, but it was just scoreless, and that was the funny part. But definitely, someone looked at this game like, oh, 0-0, oh, 2 cards. Like, no, you had to be able to watch that game to understand like how mad the end result of a 0-0 was, and the performances that were out there.
Yeah.
Okay, moving along. Let's talk about the rundown of the jornada. Starting last Thursday, Atlas and Santos drawing 2-2. Puebla losing to Monterrey 2-1. Xolos versus Pumas drawing 0-0. Xolos announced they have a new signing. Cavallini returns to Liga MX. So there's that. Tigres drawing to San Luis 0-0. Did you guys hear about Gignac extending his contract to 2025? I mean, I think it's insane because he's already like 36 years old.
I didn't hear that.
He signed again to 2025.
What's that? Another 2 years? I guess. I mean, Tigres just throw money at everything.
At anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean their spending this transfer window was absolutely ridiculous. But I mean their spending is always ridiculous and they never win anything. I mean they certainly not. I mean their spending to title winning ratio is definitely not
equivalent to
In
what
their
they spend.
it's not equivalent. Yeah. Their title winning ratio is not equivalent to the spending that they put in towards it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not too worried about them.
Juarez losing to Chivas 2-1. If you guys haven't heard, Ormeño made his way into Juarez after León.
Did hear that. I did hear that. I hope we would. Sneak in a mention there.
You know what I want to do? Put the picture of him with each jersey because his like it seems like it's been like years between like each transfer while it hasn't, and he just looks different in every picture with every jersey on.
Yeah. But my first thought when I saw that was, oh, how the mighty have fallen.
Yeah.
It was either Juarez or Pumas.
You know, it's not quite a prison sentence, but it's close to a prison sentence you can get in Liga MX being sent to Juarez.
Yeah, I mean, at least he'll get a chance to shine there maybe if he gets some minutes because at Chivas he wasn't going to do it. And
I mean, either there or Mazatlan, but at least Mazatlan is close to the beach.
Oh. Yeah, I would have chosen that.
True. Anyways, yeah, Juarez did lose 2-1. America 6-0 a Mazatlan.
Yeah, Juarez and Mazatlan, like it's getting pitiful.
Poor Mazatlan.
Well, the only thing they have is I mean they have a nice stadium and a good fan base, but their ownership has done nothing to take advantage of what that plaza should be for Liga MX, and all it makes you think is send them back to Morelia. At least you know that plaza had heart.
Yeah, you know, good news came out this week too about relegation potentially making a comeback, which is really good news for these. Well, bad news for these two teams, but good for the fans because that means we'll get to see some teams that really do deserve to be in first division be here.
Pero eso sí se hace. Obviously, we know how the league is with making lots of promises, and we know how many obstacles they put for these equipos en segunda that they need, you know, stadium approved and all this other stuff that they block them. So it's like, is it really going to happen? No sé.
Yeah,
we'll see.
No sé.
We shall see. I have my doubts. I mean, even if they bring back promotion and relegation, they're still going to give any ownership conglomerate that wants to invest a lot of money a plaza, like if they want it, you know. And they're going to allow, if Mazatlan or Juarez finish in the tabla de cocientes, like last in the tabla de cocientes, they'll give them the opportunity to buy their way out of it. I'm certain of it.
Yeah.
You think so?
Now, the team out of all of them that deserves to descend and have their plaza given to someone else is Gallos Blancos.
Querétaro.
Yeah, Querétaro. For sure. And they are most likely to finish last in the cocientes. So we'll see.
It's just, you know, so talking about that, because obviously, yeah, it was big news about, obviously, you know, the FMF and Liga MX moving forward into what their plan is in the next 4 years for the next World Cup. Obviously affects Liga MX because they are reducing the number of extranjeros to 7. Obviously, Carlos had mentioned the relegation, the promotion. the change of format of the torneos, of having longer tournaments but still having liguillas and having, I guess, quote unquote tres campeones, one with regarding points, correct?
Yeah, well, it's just like in MLS, they've had the supporter shield forever. That's the team that finishes with the most points in the regular season at the end. It's a trophy, but it's not a star.
Yeah.
I mean, the champion of the league is still the team that wins in the playoffs. That will be no different here. We'll have 2 league champions a year, but I mean, the team that with the most points across the Apertura and Clausura gets an additional accolade. My only question is, will there be like a CCL spot associated with that, or what other
benefit do they have?
What other benefit in lo deportivo will there be
Mhm.
for earning that distinction?
Yeah.
Or is it just another small piece of hardware for the cabinet? I think it would have to be. My guess is there will be a CCL spot associated with it.
I hope so.
Yeah.
See, the thing with the whole thing, which Arturo had mentioned about how about the full picante on Tuesday night, was, yeah, they gave all these, ideas, but I guess they don't really have a plan onto how to execute and, how this is going to work, how this is going to work, where you could be doing towards this, where you can be towards that. So I don't even think they know exactly what they're going to do. I think they just came out, said, this is our ideas, go back to the working station, and then come out and, determine what they're going to do. Obviously, what Arturo's talking about is Paco on Fue Picante confrontando a John Luisa, FMF, about, the whole thing of Televisa and Emilio Escarraga and all that stuff, which, a lot of people was like, man, he had the, in other words, he had the opportunity to tell him in his face what a lot of people were thinking, criticizing after the World Cup. But that's a FMF.
Yeah,
topic.
they had a similar show on TUDN where those two guys, John De Luisa and Mikel Arriola, were also on the show, and again being pressured to ask questions. Peláez was the one that was like going hard on them.
I didn't see that one on TUDN.
Yeah, it was. I think it was yesterday. It was on
because
yesterday.
they were on Fox too.
Yeah.
Oh, yesterday. They've just been everywhere bouncing.
Yeah, they've been everywhere.
I didn't see any of this. I don't really pay attention to that stuff.
Why we all, Arturo,
Yeah.
Louis is just Club León, not FMF Selección Mexicana related, so we don't tend to touch a lot of the topics. But
well, I mean, I'm interested in anything they have to say as it relates to Liga MX. But of course, all of this is intertwined because the changes that they're making to Liga MX are supposed to help the Selección, which obviously I don't care about. I mean, I only care about how it affects Liga MX directly. But no, I don't pay attention to those shows because they never give León their due. Like, even when we're doing really, really well.
Yeah.
Like, if they talk about Liga MX, they only want to talk about Chivas and America. And I have no interest in hearing about that,
Which is what Arturo Ruiz is saying now. I refuse to watch TUDN because these guys are so biased, which is true. They are biased. Yep. I mean, they have an agenda that they have to run. Remember, I don't know if you guys remember, I think it was last season or the year before, like 3 or 4 TUDN analysts came out saying some really horrible things about America during the preseason, and they made them apologize.
Really?
Yeah, that's.
I don't remember. I think it was Paco Villa, El Perro Bermudez. Like, they said something on air, and like a couple hours later, it was like, "Oh, we didn't mean to say what we said about America," and they tweeted it out, and everybody was like trashing them.
Yeah, have some. Have some,
how the water runs.
Like, don't be like that. Yeah, come on.
Sabemos cómo corre el agua, unfortunately, and Arturo knows that. Which Arturo said, Louis, how about them Blazers?
Best win of the season last night, for sure. Just a very, very quick aside. Very, 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 very nice win last night. But get Dame some help. Get the man some help. He's at the height of his powers. Get him some help.
Oh, boy.
Obviously this jornada. Oh, actually no. The game from yesterday, Atlas for Toluca, was the jornada 1, so they ended up 0-0. No surprise there. We're getting close to 9 o'clock Central, which is San Luis Puebla tonight. Tomorrow's Necaxa Xolos, as well as Mazatlan Juarez. If that's not like a Viernes Botaneros, like
couple of few can't miss matches there. By golly.
I mean, I'm probably
Yeah,
still gonna watch them.
yeah, I'll probably
still
still
gonna-
watch him. It's
right?
classic. It's classic. Viernes Botanero. I'm like, who's playing?
Those are the kind of games. Those are the kind of games where something crazy. Those are the games where something crazy is going to happen, like where there's like a 4-4 draw or something like that. You know,
like Tacuache like goes across the field or something.
Yeah, those are the ones where something crazy always happens.
We play on a Saturday at 5 Central versus Pachuca. Vamos a recibir a Pachuca. Kind of nervous there. Cruz Azul Tigres Saturday. Santos America Saturday. That'll be interesting. Pumas and Atlas 12 o'clock game on Sunday. Chivas Querétaro on Sunday as well, and Monterrey Toluca on Sunday, finishing off. And then the week after that, there will only be one Sunday game because of Super Bowl. So a lot of games will be stacked on a Friday and Saturday because of Super Bowl Sunday.
Oh, really?
Correct.
Yeah, not this week,
okay.
next week. Yeah. I think it's like Toluca's playing. Yeah, Toluca, Cruz Azul, the Sunday game. And then after that, all of the soccer players will get to watch the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Super Bowl on my birthday. Let's go. That's what Arturo said.
Wow.
Who you going for?
Yeah, who you got?
I have the Chiefs.
Why the Chiefs?
As a Cowboy fan, I'd hate no Eagles. I hate the Eagles.
Yeah, I mean it all. I've always been an NFC guy, so I kind of would prefer to see the Eagles. But I mean, if Mahomes is anything close to healthy, I think the Chiefs have the edge.
Carlos,
I don't really keep up with the NFL, so
you don't do the egg ball.
Yeah,
Carlos?
I don't do the egg ball. I mean, I'll watch. I'm gonna watch, but I don't know enough, right, to make a good prediction.
Do you watch college football or tampoco football?
Tampoco.
No,
just baseball, soccer.
I'm usually in charge of the Super Bowl party here in Guanajuato because I have NFL Game Pass.
Nice.
So, what are you doing?
Well, I'm going over to my buddy's place, and he'll invite a bunch of people over, and most of them know nothing about the sport. They either just want to hang out. We'll do a carne asada, and so they'll come to that.
Do you have a dish that's like a Louis signature dish?
No. My buddy he'll buy a bunch of carne from the local butcher shop. We'll have a carne asada and we'll put on the game. Some people will watch it very intently. Others won't watch it at all. Some will only watch the halftime show.
You got a bit of everything.
Yeah.
Nobody watches the commercials.
You know how it is. Oh, the commercials. Yeah, of course.
I'll probably make some. I kind of want to make some like buffalo chicken tenders and like beers. Yeah.
Is it just gonna be you and Tom, or are you having a get together?
Nah. Just both of us. Especially if we're gonna be screaming. If I'm gonna be screaming, I get really into football. Don't even get me started with the Cowboys one. That was
yeah. But you're neutral this time.
Yeah, but I've always liked Chiefs. I always like the Chiefs. I always like Patrick Mahomes. Like you said, if he's fully healthy, it should be good.
Oh, he's not going to be fully healthy, but if he's healthier than he was the last time he played,
yeah,
that might be enough.
Yeah, I've always liked the Chiefs. I mean, that game I was going for the Bengals for Joe.
Yeah. Nobody hates the Bengals.
Like, no, nobody hates the Bengals. So either one of them, but
if they start being good consistently and going to making a lot of deep playoff runs, maybe people will start hating them. But for now, nobody hates them.
Yeah. And other news: Tom Brady retired again.
Unless he decides to unretire.
The comments were like, "See you next season." Like, you're not going anywhere. Like, I don't believe it. Like, yeah.
I don't know. I bet the Raiders. I bet Javi's Raiders could convince him to come out of retirement. He could live in Vegas. I bet he'd like that.
Wouldn't be a bad option. Shout out to Javi. Will hopefully join us in the next couple of months. Okay, guys. So obviously we mentioned our game versus Pachuca. Obviously we had mentioned. Obviously we know Belon is out. 2 games, unfortunately.
That is rough.
Next game. I know. I could not believe that they gave him 2 games. But besides that. What are we thinking? Obviously, we know, like Louis said, we have to get creative defensively. So,
Well, offensively too, we're missing our target man up front.
so
I'm
who are we
very
going to
curious
give
to see.
opportunity?
I'm very curious to see.
Davila.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Nobody's
we
really
could Davila.
talking about it, but I said I liked what I saw from Brian Rubio
Mm.
against Toluca. I thought he played some good minutes, and he's not really. I mean, he's more of a creative striker than a target man. So I mean, I don't really know how well he fits into the scheme as a starter, but I wouldn't mind seeing him get the opportunity.
I think we're
I
gonna
mean,
play
the other
that.
option is to go with somebody like Campbell, and have Davila and Campbell up front. They've tried it before; it hasn't ever worked particularly well with Campbell as your number 9, but that's an option for sure. If you want to go with a little bit more experience, you could go that route.
I think
But
we
yeah,
might
we're gonna have to
see.
get.
I think
what
we
do you
might
what do
see
you think?
that classic Puebla Park the bus type of football from Larcamon. Because I mean, this is Pachuca, and we're down 2 men, and we don't nearly have the same firepower as they do. Defensively, I don't know. I mean, I think our best bet is just to play on the counterattack. Park the bus, try to counter those 2 counters against Toluca. We almost stole 3 points. Stole 3 points. I mean, maybe could do it against Pachuca. You never know. So that's the way I see it. I don't think we're gonna come
So
out and
you think they're
attack.
gonna bunker and wait for a good chance to counter?
That's what I think. That's what I think.
I just don't know if I see them doing that at home. I don't know.
I hope
It's a
not.
home game.
I mean, I could
It
see
might
him
be.
like,
I mean, it might be the best course of action. It really might be.
yeah.
But I just don't know if that's what they're going to do. And I have relative trust in the back line of Ivan Moreno, Steven Barreiro, if he can play anything close to like he did against Toluca, Fidel, and I guess Osvi. Even though I prefer it to be Oscar Ria. I said I have good faith in them, and then I remembered that I still had to include Osby in that, and then I wasn't so sure.
Your face totally changed. I was just laughing.
As I was naming him off, and I was like, "Oh yeah, except for Osby."
That was funny.
But I mean, Carlos is right. Osby's going to start. Like Osby's going to start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In this
Unless
match,
he's injured.
maybe down the road, Oscar Villa has enough good things to get a shot there. Maybe Tecillo comes back and they decide to put him there. That would be my ideal. But for now, it's going to be Osby.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Forgot to mention, we did have a debutante from Club León that game. He did get trash minutes, pero sí debutó, which is Sebastián Santos, 20-year-old midfielder.
Yeah, 20-year-old, and he's from Guanajuato.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a good thing. We're developing these young talents. Obviously, Fidel Ambris also. He's a Leones también, right?
Fidel Ambris?
Yes,
pretty sure.
Yes, for sure.
So we got a lot of these young kids coming up the pipeline. Saul Zamora's waiting for his number to get called. Pedro Hernandez is about to be off the injured list. He's actually, I think, 2 weeks away from coming back.
Good.
Elias Hernandez should be back, I think, next game or the game after that. We got a lot of young guys coming up. I don't know why I threw Elias Hernandez in there. He's not even young.
He's not young. He's not young at all.
He's just coming back.
Yeah, but he is coming back.
He's been pretty checked out the last couple of seasons, but there's still some quality left in those legs somewhere.
Yeah.
I mean, and we need all the depth we can get at this point.
Yeah.
I always love you, Elias. I will always love you. So we're saying, so Louis says let's give Brian Rubio the starting. Carlos says
I'd like to see
Davila?
that. I mean, we brought him in for a reason. I mean, I'd like to see him get a shot.
I'd like to see Davila play striker.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe have Jairo Mena on the wings. Throw Canelo Angulo in there. That's the only change I would make. Throw Canelo Angulo in there.
So
somebody to create something. Perro, I was gonna say Perro Perro Romero. Yes, him. Jefecito, I don't know.
I mean, I haven't been convinced with Jefecito, but just like the Osby situation, he's gonna start. I didn't think he had the best game this, the past couple of games, but
Yeah.
it is what it is at this point. But yeah, that's kind of what we have going on. I can't remember what Pachuca ganó last game.
Oh yeah.
Pachuca
Was it
beat
4-1?
No. It was 2-1 at home against Necaxa.
Necaxa, yeah, 2-1.
So, I just think this is by no means going to be a cakewalk for Pachuca.
No, I mean if si jugamos con garra, which literally that's what we did last game and kind of defined the team, the León que saca las garras. I mean, that's what we did. I mean, as long as we have that same mentality, I mean, we could surprise again, at home.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but Pachuca's in first place right now, and we're 11th. I know it's still early in the season.
We can stop trophies, Carlos. We can stop trophies.
The tabla doesn't mean all that much through 4 match weeks, and especially we have a game in hand, as you'll recall.
True, but if we do win this one, we go all the way up to like top 4,
and still have a game in hand.
Yeah.
Still have a game in hand, and then the next games are, what is it? Juárez. We're going against Juárez.
No, it's Querétaro, Puebla, Juárez.
Querétaro, Puebla, Juárez.
Those are very winnable games.
They're extremely winnable games.
Every time we say that, guys, it's always something that comes messed up from those games. It's always like we end up drawing and losing.
No, it's different this season.
But hopefully it's different this season. Okay, let's go ahead. Get ready for prediction.
We can lose one of those games if we beat Pachuca.
If we beat Pachuca, we can lose Juárez against Juárez.
Yeah,
I don't want to lose against Puebla. I don't want to lose against Querétaro.
I don't think we're going to lose against Puebla.
What if La Ley there?
Not with Larcamón.
As a team. Yeah. Hopefully not.
We'll see.
So I guess no hot takes, huh? This podcast.
No hot
takes. Not so far.
Didn't you have a hot take, Louis, in the chat?
Did I?
Or no? In the chat? No? Or that was
for the last game. I said Belón was going to have a good game. And yeah.
You jinxed it.
No.
Actually, I just felt it coming. I was like, oh no, it's gonna happen.
Well, when you're already down a man and you're dealing with that kind of firepower, going up against that kind of firepower, you just kind of have to overplay. And if you overplay, I mean, you're putting yourself more at risk for a reckless foul.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. Are you guys ready for prediction time then?
Sure.
Let's do it. Prediction time. Arturo gave us his predictions that I'd say we take a 2-0 win against our older brother Pachuca. So he's confident. We're at home. We're going to leave them scoreless. And we're going to win 2-0. It's bold, Arturo. It's bold. Louis, will you be making a presence in Estadio Glorioso?
I will be there, of course, 5 p.m. Central Time this Saturday, the last Saturday of the Feria de León. So it's going to be an absolute madhouse in the city. I'm going to leave very, very early, make sure I don't have any trouble with that. But yeah, of course I will be there. And 2-0, but I think we are going to pull out a 2-1. I think we're going to pull out a 2-1 win against Pachuca. Goals by Davila. Brian Rubio opens his account for León, and somehow Chofis gets one.
Okay. Arturo 2-0, Louis 2-1. Carlos, what do you think?
I'm gonna be a little more conservative. I'm gonna go with a 1-1 draw.
Oh, you guessed what I was gonna say.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the 1-1 draw. I think I don't know, Leon. We're just probably gonna bunker down. Pachuca might not be able to score on us. We might get one on a counterattack. Davila might sneak one in there. But it's Pachuca. They have so much firepower. They're probably gonna slip one in too. So I'm gonna go 1-1.
Carlos says 1-1 draw, back-to-back draws. That was also my prediction, a draw. I think if we are able to, again, sacar la garra, have a good game, si no nos da resultado, at least have a good game with a full squad, not with 9, the full squad. I'll take that. Seeing as the next couple of games we have opportunity to kind of build some confidence and maybe look a little bit better down the line.
Mm-hmm.
So I say 1-1 draw. But if we win, a toda madre.
Keep in mind, they do have a lot of firepower, but they will be a little bit short-handed. They're obviously down Nico Ibanez, and their flashy new signing from LAFC, Chicho Arango, I do not expect will be available.
No, I think he just arrived.
So if there were ever a good time to catch Pachuca, maybe it's now.
Which shout out to Club Pachuca. I really enjoyed their presentation of
that was almost as good as the ones that Leon does. Yeah.
I mean, they probably, shared ideas. I retweeted it, loved it, and Club Pachuca liked it, and then they retweeted it. I was like, oh, cool. I liked it. It was really cool. It was really nicely done.
Clever. I mean, I have to hand it to him. That was pretty funny.
And when he was like, claramente soy no refuerzo, I was like, no, they didn't. Like, it just all made sense.
I gotta go watch it. I missed it.
You missed it? Okay.
I mean, I saw the video on my timeline, but I didn't watch it.
Oh, we got to send it to you on the chat.
I'll watch it.
Arturo said Pachuca hasn't beat us at home since 2007. I got faith. 2017.
I remember that game.
Huh.
I remember that match. That was that was an awful. That was the first match of the season.
I don't know if that's the statistic I want to hear right now, because I mean, how remember all those times we heard, oh, Necaxa has not beaten Leon.
Oh my God, yes.
And then how badly we lost that game.
That was terrible.
We didn't lose it that badly. We got two late ones.
Yeah.
And you said, Carlos, if they ended up tying it up, that the beers were on you.
Jesus Christ! How do you remember this stuff?
Louis remembers everything, Carlos. Everything.
Because I was there having a terrible time, and then they scored, and then Davila scored a quick brace, like right there at the end, and they had like one more chance to tie it. They had a legit chance to tie it up. Yeah. I remember. And you're like, if they pull this off, beers are on me.
I mean, they would have been.
We'll dig back into that. Arturo, curious, where are you watching us from? Are you watching us from the U.S.? What state? Mexico?
My dude Arturo, he's also in the chat on Tribuneros. I always see him there. He's always talking to Romo, Echeverri, all these guys, man.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So this guy's like, he really tunes in to all these.
Idaho.
Oh, man.
Hey, all right.
In Idaho.
Pretty close.
Arturo
not too far from my neck of the woods. Yeah.
Idaho. Okay.
Arturo, do you make any trips to see Leon, whether it's in Mexico or in the U.S.?
Pretty sure he went to that.
On.
If I'm pretty sure he went to that. My potato boy. He went to that Las Vegas final that we were at, the Leagues Cup.
Oh, the Leagues Cup. Yeah.
It's
well, maybe we'll see you.
A little bit of a drive.
See you for some Leagues Cup action, either in LA or Vancouver. Actually, Vancouver is probably closer. Yeah.
Because I do every February in Leon. Maybe you'll run into Louis.
Nice.
Maybe.
You guys should link up.
Yeah, a little pregame. That's the fiesta de mi rancho. Wow. Thanks for that.
Now, Arturo, are you from Leon, Guanajuato, or a different part of Guanajuato?
We're really digging into Arturo's backstory here.
I know, right?
We're trying to get to know the fans.
The more the merrier.
Carlos Zermania. We got a second watcher.
Thumbs up. San Francisco de Rincon, close by.
Oh yeah, okay.
San Pancho.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, guys, I think we're gonna take off. Anything
All
else
right.
before we leave?
Mm,
Any thoughts, conclusions, hot takes?
not really.
No, I mean I think
I think we got it all out.
yeah, we had a lot to get out after that exciting finish or that exciting match in Toluca. We're waiting.
Madness.
We had it followed up for a few extra days.
Yeah. It was just nice to
Yeah.
like relive, like, you know, especially you reliving it in front of me and Car, just like living it like on the other side of the TV. Like,
Yeah, that was nuts. I don't know if there'll ever be another one quite like that.
Yeah.
definitely.
You don't expect to have two dudes sent off in one match, and then let alone come out with a result after it.
Right.
Yeah. Definitely. Well, Belon, we'll see you later on. I'm sad you won't be playing next time. Anyways, shout out to Arturo for joining us in the chat and for Carlos Hermeño as well, giving us a thumbs up. Hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. Thank you for watching via YouTube and Periscope on Twitter. Don't forget to follow us. If you guys are unable to watch the match for any reason, you're stuck at work, stuck in traffic, go ahead and follow Club Leon EN to keep you updated with all the live updates of the games, jugadas, and more. Make sure to follow us and let us know anything. Keep the conversation going, and we'll definitely be back next week with another episode recapping what happened and hopefully a happy one with the win at home, or at least a draw, if anything. So, well, Carlos, Louis, we're taking off.
Ya nos vamos.
See you
Bye,
guys.
guys.